just say out of the gates, think of the mold as like the seeds, and think of the fruit that's bared by the seeds as like the mycotoxins. And essentially, you're saying you could have a whole bunch of seeds down there, and not necessarily a lot of fruit being bared from those seeds, or you can just have a lot of the fruit and the vegetables, right? Those are like the mycotoxins. I may not have a lot of the seeds there. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. I mean, I think of mycotoxins, I just call them mold farts because you could go in a
Yes.
building
Yep.
and you could be exposed to ochratoxin in it. Let's say your child goes to a moldy school or a moldy daycare. Your child can be exposed to the penicillium and the aspergillus, but it might not get colonized. Your child might just come home and it only has the mold fart inside of them, aka the ochratoxin, the
The
mycophenolic
mycotoxin.
acid.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can eliminate that and you can detoxify it. Some people, they may just be genetically sensitive and they have a harder time eliminating that mold fart out of their system. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. And some
Yeah.
people, they kind of question us like, well, why is this such a big deal? Molds everywhere, blah, blah, blah. So I just want to say just two things on that real quick. Number one is the buildings are much tighter than they used to be. So we don't have that natural leakage. I mean, you think of like an old 1800s farmhouse, you'll feel the draft coming in. And they use plaster and
Yes.
other building materials. They didn't use paperback drywall like we use today. So the building materials have changed, and the homes are much tighter. So I mean, you could have an old house in Kentucky from the 1800s built of plaster, and it might have not been moldy, or if it was built of concrete or something. But now you've got lumber, and then you've got paperback drywall, you've got high humidity, you've got the moisture. People used to do clotheslines. My grandmother would hang her clothes. I remember as a kid, she had the big clothesline. Now you have a dryer in the home. You've got moisture coming from that. You've got your washing machine. You've got your dishwasher now where that thing is off gassing humidity. You've got showers and bathrooms. And we just build this moist envelope, which is a home. So that's why you and I, we have whole house dehumidifiers in our house. So that's really one
Exactly.
important strategy. If you're like, okay, I'm going
Yep.
to do the binders, now what? Well, you've got to make sure your environment is an oasis. So it's the air purifiers, it's the dehumidifiers, it's the mold treatments that we do inside the home that really are the icing on the cake, or maybe not even the icing, it's the foundation. If you're
Yeah.
getting exposed, you're wasting your time with these protocols.
Yeah, very interesting too. I saw a home that was, I think, built in the 1800s, and one of the things they used for insulation in the home was horsehair. So you had horsehair mixed with plaster all in the walls, and that was what they used for insulation. I wonder if, I would imagine hair probably wouldn't mold too much, but it was really interesting. And they couldn't even get Wi-Fi in the home because the horsehair was so insulating from Wi-Fi technology; it couldn't even pass through it. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Well, I know a lot of the camper vans, people are taking vans and converting them into like travel things for the road. They're putting wool insulation in there because the wool can get moist and wet and it won't mold, versus if you're
Yes.
doing like a standard like cellulose or other type of
Yes.
insulation that will create mold. So yeah, I mean, nature is smart. Nature's got it figured out.
Yeah, and that's probably why some of those homes that had the hair in it, I imagine the horsehair is probably very similar in regards to the lack of molding capacity.
Yeah, it's not organic, right? I mean, some could argue, well, that's hair, that's natural, but it's not an organic material like paper. Like mold wants to eat paper, fungus wants to eat paper. That's just part of the natural biological process. But hairs,
Totally.
mold's not interested in eating that.